Hi, welcome to this demo of IBM Spectrum Protect Operations Center version 8.1.2. In this demo, I'm going to be talking about the new stricter security requirements that have been put in place for the communication between the Operations Center and the hub server, as well as between the hub server and the spoke servers. The Spectrum Protect 8.1.2 code will automatically try one time during either the upgrade or during the initial setup to automatically transfer the certificates. However, if this fails, you'll need to distribute the certificates manually. So in this video, I'm hoping to show you how it's done automatically, but also what's happening underneath the covers in case you need to do it manually. So I'll be showing this for the Spectrum Protect server when you first define the Operations Center, and then I'll be showing it for the Operations Center when you add in a spoke server. And then we'll go through it manually and add a second spoke server so you can see the exact commands you would issue if you did want to manually add in the new certificates for the new trust stores that are going to be on the Operations Center. When you install version 8.1.2 of the Spectrum Protect server and start it up for the first time, we will create a trust store for that Spectrum Protect server. Likewise, when you install the Operations Center, we will install a trust store specific to the Operations Center. So in this video, I'm going to show you what is in the trust stores by default. And then we'll look at what they look like after you define the Operations Center to the primary server and after you define a spoke server to the hub server. So let's go ahead and take a look at the existing trust stores. So here we are on our primary Spectrum Protect server. It's called Barrel 1. And the first thing I'm going to do is look at the trust store that was created when this Spectrum Protect server was first installed and started. So we're going to change directory to the server directory, and we're going to issue this GSK8 CAPI CMD_64-cert-list-db cert-kdb-stashed. The cert-kdb is the name of the default trust store that the Spectrum Protect server utilizes. The -stashed means that we've stored the password for this. So when we issue that, we can see that it does find the default TSM server self-signed SHA key, which is our default personal key. Okay, now we're going to take a look at the trust store that was installed for the Spectrum Protect 8.1.2 Operations Center. We'll issue the ikeycmd-cert-list-db, the directory for the Operations Center /GUI-truststore.jkm, which is the Operations Center default trust store name. You will have to provide the password that you used when you set up the Operations Center, and then you will be able to see the default certification that's listed there, and that's all that currently shows up. Notice we use the ikey commands versus the GSK8 commands. These commands are functionally virtually identical. Okay, now let's go to the Spectrum Protect admin console, and we're going to issue this query monitor set. And you'll notice that currently nothing is being monitored, meaning we don't have an Operations Center defined for this server. Now we're going to do this select admin name, session_security from admins. And this is going to show us the new session security properties. And for these, you'll either see it show up as strict or as transitional. And these determine the level of encryption that's required for the server or client connecting with the Spectrum Protect entities. And strict specifies that the security settings are enforced and they must use TLS 1.2, whereas transitional session security is intended to be used temporarily while you update your clients for strict compliance. So while you update them to Spectrum Protect 8.1.2 or above. The important thing here is if an entity is in strict mode, it will not be able to do that one-time automatic copy of the certificates, and you will have to manually copy in the certificates to the trust stores. You can also find that information if you use the query admin format equals detailed. And so you'll see right now everybody's in transitional state for this Spectrum Protect server. And you'll see that the transport method is currently set as question mark. Now, if you did need to force an update on this session security, you could issue an update admin, the admin name, and session security equals trans, and this will put it back to transitional. So if for some reason you did get it set to strict and you wanted to reverse that, that's the new command. Let's go ahead and define the operations center to the Spectrum Protect server for the first time. One thing you'll want to do is give the complete name, so barrel1.storage.tucson.ibm.com, and then 1663. Notice on the screen also that you are no longer given the option to turn on SSL. If you do want to use SSL for the data encryption, you can set that option separately, but now by default TLS 1.2 will be set for the communication. Okay, and then we're just going to go ahead and click Configure and run through this wizard as you normally would. And the rest of these screens will just look the same, so we'll speed through those. And then once you see the succeeded message, you will then get into the Operations Center overview pane. And at that point, you know you are communicating between the Operations Center and the Spectrum Protect hub server with TLS 1.2. Let's now go and look under the covers at what automatically happened. So back on the hub server, we're going to issue this GSK8 cap ICMD_64 command to take a look at the hub server's trust store, and you'll see that nothing's changed there. So now let's go take a look at the Operations Center hub store, and you'll see that after we enter the password with the ikey command, you do now see barrel storage.tucson.ibm.com-0 listed. This shows the hub server's certificate was placed in the Operations Center's trust store, allowing the Operations Center and the hub server to communicate via TLS 1.2. Okay, now what if we want to add in a spoke server? Let's go over to this Barrel 2 server, which is going to be our spoke Spectrum Protect server. And first of all, let's take a look at its trust store with the GSK8 cap ICMD command. And you'll see that it only has its SHA key in it. Now, this looks identical to what we saw on server Barrel 1. But really, the certificates are different. So if you cat cert256.arm, which is the default certificate, we'll do that first on Barrel 2, and we'll compare that to what the certificate looks like on Barrel 1. And these are 256-bit encrypted certificates, and they do look different, as you can see here. Okay, let's go ahead and add in a spoke server so we can see how TLS 1.2 certificates are automatically added. We'll go ahead and connect to the Barrel 2 spoke server, once again using the full name when we specify it on the server address and the port. You will be prompted for the server password that was set up with the set server name and set server password command. And once you verify the information for the communication, you can just go ahead and press Connect Spoke. You'll see a succeed message, and you can go ahead and click Close, and then we'll now take a look under the cover to see how the TLS 1.2 certificates were exchanged. From the Spectrum Protect hub server, let's look at the trust server with the GSK8 cap ICMD command, and you'll see nothing's changed in the hub server trust store. If we look at the Operations Center with the ikey command, you'll now see that we have two servers listed. We have Barrel 1 and Barrel 2 because now the Operations Center is able to talk with both the hub server and the spoke server. If we take a look at Barrel 2's trust store, you'll see with the GS8 command that nothing has changed there. It's still the same default certificate listed. So in order to add a spoke server, all we did was add in that spoke server's certificate to the Operations Center's trust store underneath the covers automatically. If we go back into the admin command line and issue the select admin _name, session _security from admins, You'll see that Trisha is now set as strict because I have used my ID to access the Operations Center and log on. The other ones are still set as transitional, except for the Operations Center ID that was set up when we installed the Operations Center. If we issue the query admin, likewise, you'll see that the session security is strict, and now the transport method shows up as SSL TLS 1.2. It used to be just a question mark. And if we check on the other server, you'll see the same thing, that the same settings have been set. Likewise, if we issue the query monitor from the Spectrum Protect 1 server, you'll see that it is now being monitored. You'll see the admin name and the group and the monitored servers. Next to the monitored server, you'll see the spoke server we just added in. On the hub server, if you issue query server format equals detail, you'll see the new spoke server, and you'll see not only the server name, which shows up there, but you'll also see that the session security is strict and the transport method is SSL TLS 1.2. Now we're going to manually define a spoke server with the Barrel 3 server, and then we're going to manually add in the certificates to the Operations Center Trust Store. So here's the define server command, and we can see that the server was successfully defined as a spoke server. The first thing we have to do is pull the default certificate from the Barrel 3 server and copy it over to the primary Barrel 1 server so we can install it into the OC Trust Store. So we're going to use FTP. We're copying the default cert.256, but we're going to give it a new name when we copy it over so we don't get it mixed up with the primary server's cert.256. Okay, and you can see it here. We've called it kin A3 server 3 cert 256. If we cat that certificate, even though it has the same name, the contents is different from our server 1 and server 2's cert.256 that we looked at previously. Now we're going to add Barrel 3's certificate into the Operations Center's Trust Store using the ikey cmd-cert-add-db, the name of the DB, which is GUI-truststore.jkm-file, which is the name of the file we brought over, -label, and the label can be whatever you want it to be. We're going to call it barrel3.storage.tucson.ibm.com-0, showing it's self-signed, -type JKS, -format ASCII, -trust enable. Go ahead and press enter. You'll be prompted for the password that you used when you set up the Operations Center. And now if you list the contents of the Operations Center Trust Store, you'll see that it now contains 3 entries plus the default. So we have an entry for the Barrel 1 hub server and then the Barrel 2 and 3 spoke server. Back in the Operations Center, we want to take Barrel 3 and actually monitor that spoke server, so we can simply click on the monitor spoke and go through the GUI to do that. In addition to Barrel 3 being added to the Operations Center Trust Store, if you go in and do a query server on the Barrel 1 hub server, you will see that it now shows Barrel 2 and Barrel 3 as being spoke servers to Barrel 1. So in summary, Spectrum Protect version 8.1.2 introduces TLS 1.2 security between Operations Center and the hub and spoke servers. Spectrum Protect 8.1.2 will automatically try one time to transfer the certificates between the hub and spoke server. And this occurs either if you're doing an upgrade to 8.1.2 or the initial setup. If this fails, you'll need to distribute those certificates manually. Thank you.